What do you have going on? Are you working on stuff?
I am in research mode, but I wouldn't even call it that. I'm just been absorbing a lot of new things and reading a lot and meditating. And I'm in this like absorption mode of the process. And I have the mural next month. That is a byproduct of collab. It was opening night. I met this couple who have hired me to do this mural in Hyde Park. And so I'm sort of gearing up for that. It's going to be an intense, you know, short time frame again
Hmm.
to knock it out before it gets too hot. And so yeah, that's what I'm working on artistically, in sort of a far out future goal. Our kids are graduating high school.
Yeah,
Um, and so I've been thinking about like the beyond parenting time, and I want to do artist residencies all over. So I've been starting a docket of where I could go and, what different residencies offer and how long. And so I'm imagining that.
a little over a year from now.
Hmm.
Um, do you feel like,
Am
uh,
I allowed to ask you what you're working on? Because it's
yeah,
too.
you can ask me whatever you want. It's,
Okay,
it's
cool. Yeah, what are you working on?
I um I feel like something's about to s- shift. And I don't know what that is and how that is going to shift, but I feel like that uh just in since the fall, as the world has transformed and is transforming, that I also have been transforming, and
Hmm.
that the stuff that I was working on, I'm just not really feeling it. And so I just did, like, I was trying to paint at the end of November, and I just like everything that I worked on just felt like really rigid and stiff. Like I just couldn't, the energy was just totally off. And so I stopped for a while, and I ended up doing some collages, which I don't usually do a lot of collages, but my parents had a big stack of Texas Monthly and Texas Highways magazines, and so
Cool.
that ended up like because it was all this Texas imagery, it ended up being this sort of like therapy for me to like deal with all of my deep-seated complicated feelings about my home state
Yeah.
and how that is reflected in the world at large. And I did 11 of those. I like cranked them out. Um, I'll show you one. There's one like right
Yeah.
behind me. They're all right behind me, but
Show me your favorite.
this is my favorite one right here. Let's see if I can make it fit in the screen.
Ooh,
So
cool.
this one was like
What lies?
obviously from a bunch of like caverns, but then I was like obsessed with the total eclipse last that happened last year.
Yeah. Wow, I
Like
love it.
reading, so there's like some eclipse stuff in there too. And
Like creature with the pinwheel.
yeah, so it's these started because I forgot about that. Like, so I've been doing those monsters, and the
Mm.
monsters was what was like when I would try to paint them, they were totally stiff. And I was like, the monsters can't be stiff. Like, that's completely wrong. So I just started like doing these like oil pastel scribbly sketches,
Yeah.
and then like these pastel sort of like vortex things just on like really cheap crappy paper that was like buckling. And
Hmm.
so I just decided I would cut those up and like make them part of the collage. So that's kind of like what started the collage thing. But um
I love it.
s- during the pandemic, I did a lot of writing, and
Mm.
um and so I've been really like the past year trying to go back through all the writing that I did, and it's all very like raw and like assess what of this stuff do I want to do anything with, if at all, and then kind of repurpose and clean it up and like pairing it with other artwork. But I'm finding that like I'm getting back into that mode. All of a sudden, it might be because I'm on Substack now and it's a
Yeah.
writing platform. So um, I've been writing more again, and I'm finding that like the stuff that I wrote 4 or 5 years ago is like merging with new stuff.
Hmm.
So I don't know what's gonna
Like
come of
the same
that.
ideas are
Because
circulating.
it's like it's all because it's related, you know, it's like the stuff that was going on then is related to what's going on now. Like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
echoes of each other.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there was a whole long thing that I wrote about January 6th and the insurrection and made like tons of screen captures of all of the photos and news stuff from that day. Like while it was happening, I was just like, already, I was like, if he gets in there, this stuff may just disappear. We may not have access to this information. So I was like screenshotting it. And and so I've been kind of like playing with some of that imagery too, but it's like I can't really stomach doing too much of that. I
Yeah.
think it's healthy for me. Like it's there's a balance in there where like it's like get it out, but don't just like bathe in it, you know?
Yeah. No,
So
I do know.
that's
Yeah.
kind of where I am. I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty, but that's not a terrible place to be, you know?
Yeah.
So
I
artistically,
love what you said
creatively.
about you're transforming kind of like alongside this, crumbling empire that is kind of having its last gasp of like totally heinous,
Yeah.
disgusting policies and actions and war. And I mean, I do believe it's a last gasp. I hope.
Yes.
And I think, a friend of mine called it right now the digital dark age. And, things are disappearing and we go looking for something. We saw it yesterday. Where is
Yeah.
it? And like, whole archives are being erased, words are being sought out and
Yeah.
erased, people are being erased. And so yeah, you can't sit in that for too long. I mean, it's good to like know that it's happening, but I think as artists, we have this other responsibility, which is to like archive, create,
Yeah.
and like document. Like it doesn't have to be an exact replica,
Yeah.
but somehow, digest and translate what is happening right now, internally, externally, and everything in between. Um, and I have been, off and on throughout my life, I've made maps, like weird maps. Like I remember
Mhm.
as a kid taking a clay class, and we had to do a project where we closed our eyes and created our neighborhood out of clay, like what we could remember where things were. And I was probably like 8 years old or something, 8 or 10. And that project had such a huge impact on me. I've done it in so many different ways throughout my life, either closing my eyes or and trying to draw the things that I remember where they are, or taking, in traveling, creating maps that were like from my perspective, where things were and how big and how special. And I just think, the person that said we're in the digital dark age is my friend Catherine, who runs the map room at UT. And I've it's just spending time with her there spun me into a whole thing about like mapping this current reality through a visual language.
Yeah.
And but I do actually want to like make some maps that are like that help make sense of it all. Like even if it's just to me. Um and I Yeah, I think maps, like a physical map too, is also kind of rare these days. Like everything is online or on our phones.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean also your collages, like usually you're like such a physical like maker using materials, but to like cut an
Yeah.
existing thing, I don't know, I could kind of see that becoming like an archive in a way of in a mapping of like, okay, this is important, this is important, this is important, and they're all going together,
Yeah.
each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm into map.
Um, Kenneth Holland,
Hmm.
he was doing that with, I mean, when the stuff in Gaza started in October of 2023, like
Yeah.
he just right away kind of like shifted gears and was like really focusing on that and like pulling all of this imagery from different places and creating like these crazy reels that were like collages, video collages.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember thinking, is this his job? This is an insane amount of work, like all of it, like, because I was learning so much.
yeah, it's not his job. Um, I think he's just a very passionate, caring person, and that
Yeah.
particular situation it's been hard for everybody to watch, but I think it's been especially hard for him to watch.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think that like there's something to that cutting things apart and repurposing them and altering, like highlighting their original meaning by altering them and
Mm.
changing their meaning. Like there's something very powerful in that. I mean, these doing these collages, like you said, it was like it felt like play. Like it was therapy for me, but it also was like extremely playful. I just like cranked them out, and some of them are just like so messy. They're like bubbly, like I had it all
Yeah.
flat, and then the next morning I'd come in and there's just like this giant bubble, and I was like, damn it. But to me, it actually like it kind of that's part of it, like the immediacy of it and just like the sloppiness in a way is like
Yeah.
reflective of how sloppy all this other stuff is. Uh,
Yeah. It's a reflection of, how you're feeling when you make it too.
yeah, I felt like that's where the energy was at the moment. It was very frenetic, and
Mhm.
that was like I was feeling that way, but that's also how the world was presenting. Um, yeah, so I don't know. It'll be real interesting to see how this all plays out, but I feel the same way as you. I feel like it's a last gasp, and I hope that that's short and as few people have to suffer as possible from that. But
Yeah.
it's
We're
crazy.
all we're all feeling it whether we're paying attention or not. And
Yeah,
it's yeah, it is a luxury to get to look away.
yeah. And by
Um
the time I post this, a million things, more things will have happened. So it's like,
oh,
I, I
hopefully
I
some of them
mean,
positive
I
for
did
people.
a talk with Rachel Caminos. We talked in August, and she lives down like along the border in the valley.
Mm.
And we were talking about Elon Musk and his influence there, because that's where the space
Right.
stuff is.
SpaceX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Boca Chica.
And it's just like from the time we had that conversation to really just like a few weeks later, his role in the world
Oh my
completely
God.
changed because at that time he hadn't really started like dipping his toe into it. And then it was just like all of a sudden, you know? So
Free
these
Doge.
talks have become sort of like this weird little like document of a very specific blip in time, you
Hmm.
know, that I feel like at least for me, it'll be interesting to like to go back and revisit some of them and see like where we were and what we were concerned about and what had happened and hadn't happened. And, you know,
Yeah.
it's all moving
Wow.
very quickly.
Yeah, you're a documentarian right now.
I've always been a documentarian, honestly, but like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that wasn't like really an intended part of this, but it's shaping up that way. So,
I think it's cool that it's that you're not like, okay, now I'm gonna edit this and like post it tomorrow because actually that time is like is almost like it's rest for you, obviously,
yeah,
but it's also like in a way it sort of magnifies the fiction of it all. Like
yeah,
by like having a few months between, you're like, wow,
yeah,
we felt it coming. We didn't know what or how, but even in like you talking about this 5 year sort of cycle,
yeah,
they're getting kicked up in the same way, but even more extreme. Um, I think that the time is like part of the puzzle. And
right.
and you're probably asking different questions and bringing different people on, you know. I don't know how random that is, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and even when people like you and I don't think our artwork necessarily specifically reflects the external world, but it's in
Hmm.
there because
Hmm.
it's us and we're part of it, you know? And that's the other part about the arts is that they reflect the time and place. So, you know,
I the last couple of times I've sat down to draw, I've just drawn women sitting on men. And then I like, I think I have one. Shit.
yeah, I love it.
Like, I've done like 16 versions of this in different.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily look like a woman, but I know this is just coming out of me.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better every time I
Yeah.
feel.
And as a group, I think it'll be interesting to like see how those whole like how they hang together, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
If anyone ever sees them.
yeah, hopefully.
It feels like me just like processing something like,
Yeah.
can you just let people exist that aren't white conservative men? Like that's my message is like just let people exist. They're just sitting on you now
Right.
so that they can exist and have
Yeah.
presence.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I think what started out as like, yeah, I was gonna say the spectacle of Trump, but the realness of the consequences of Elon and Trump and all the shit that they're doing, it's like, mm, it's gonna have long-term effects.
Oh
And
yeah,
am
absolutely.
am feeling this like instinct to like build my immediate community and like, the garden's going strong.
Yeah.
I feel like, I know a plumber.
Yeah.
Connecting the dots on like will it take to survive and help my friends survive.